Good morning and welcome in. I hope everyone's having a lovely Thursday. Thank you for being here this morning with me. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to the Athletics Podcast. I am your host, Logan Luce. Welcome back for another episode as we dive deep into a lot of what's going on right now. Let's start with just a quick, obvious. We're gonna talk about what's going on with the LA Lakers. We're gonna talk about what's going on with EA Sports a bit. We're gonna talk about obviously football as the preseason is officially underway as of today. I mean, technically last week it was, but it was only one game, which we will talk a little bit about that game. That game was pretty crazy. But let's dive in to the actual preseason. So tonight we've got a lot of exciting games going on tonight. I'm stoked. I hope you're stoked. Also, just want to say, beautiful today. Beautiful day. I was watching the game last week, and I was really rooting, for the Cardinals to lose. And so for them to lose at the very end of the game, the backup quarterback for the Panthers, King, rushing in to the end zone with 1 second on the clock and getting that touchdown to win the game in the very last moments. That was incredible. That was so impressive. And I was just blown away. I was blown away by the just sudden shift, just the last minute shift to really change the way we're playing, like the way everything's going. So like I said, first game tonight, we've got two games at the same time starting at 7 p.m. We got the Lions and the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the Packers and the Steelers at 7, followed up with Colts and Patriots at 7:30. 8 p.m. will be Chargers and Texans. The same thing, Cardinals and Raiders. Cardinals play again. We got the Titans and the 49ers to finish it off at 9 o'clock. Then tomorrow at 7 again, we've got the Dolphins and Commanders, followed up by Broncos and Falcons, Buccaneers and Jets, which that game's going to be crazy. We'll have to talk more about the Bucs and Jets in a little bit. But Browns and Bears will also start off Saturday. Then the Panthers and Bills, Vikings and Giants, Rams and Chiefs, Jaguars and Saints, Eagles and Ravens, and then to end week 2 will be the Cowboys and Seahawks at 8 o'clock. So a lot of really fun preseason games. Now, for, people who don't really watch football a lot, preseason isn't exactly actual, none of the games truly matter, but it's more of, as a fan of the teams, you get a chance to, see some of your rookies. You get to see some of your backup players. Sometimes you even get to see a little bit of your starters. Maybe the starters will come out and play for a little bit. But the whole point of it is to, make your, your bench players look good, give an opportunity to people, because depending on someone's, preseason performance could determine whether or not they're going to make a main roster spot. The preseason does give all the teams a chance to evaluate their young players or their backup players and really figure out, whether or not they're fit for the main roster, and are they going to be, on the backup? That's the questions they're looking for, is like, who's going to make the 53-man roster. And so I'm super stoked. I hope you guys are too. Like I said, first game starts at 7 with the Lions and the Bengals. Just absolute wild card for sure. Wild card for sure. Just throwing it out. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So I hope you guys are excited. And so something to talk about football-wise too is, somewhat of a big headliner right now is the Rams wide receiver, Puka Nacua, had a lot to say about the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl, but even now, even months later, Puka is still crying like a little baby, all because the Rams got beat by Seattle in the NFC Championship game. He went on to Logan Paul, one of the Paul brothers, official podcast, and publicly stated he doesn't like the Seahawks, and he feels this certain way about the Seahawks, claiming that everybody on the roster can get the smoke. Thank you, Puka. You can sit on the sidelines with the rest of your team because you're not fucking shit. But either way, the guy's still going off. He's upset, reasonably so, but like to the extent where it's just like, guy's just crying. He's just crying for the sake of crying, and it's really funny. I just can't get over it. I mean, he on the actual Super Bowl when we won the Super Bowl, he tweeted with a laughing emoji just saying Sam Darnold, and that was it. Like as if Sam Darnold didn't whoop your ass and beat you guys and sending you packing in probably the most important game of your career. Just sent you packing out, sent you out of here. And I mean, for the Rams, it's kind of funny because they're clearly like, with the Myles Garrett trade, with the potential that Aaron Donald is going to come back, it just seems like the Rams are trying their hardest to do what like the LA Dodgers are in baseball. They're trying to build a super team just so they can beat Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. Like that's crazy to me. But yeah, it's okay though, because I'm confident that Seattle will still have an amazing year, and Puka's probably gonna get his ass whooped again. I mean, we're gonna put the hurt on him. I hope we do. He deserves it. Just speaking out of his ass. He's just full of himself. It's like he's a good wide receiver. He's an amazing wide receiver, but it's like the guy is like, kind of like Odell Beckham Jr., where he's had one or two good seasons, and now he just thinks he's like the best player in the world, talking all the smack, just acting like a little baby when he hasn't really earned anything. Like, the guy hasn't even, the guy is, in his like late 20s, and he's just talking out his ass. Like, he's just completely upset that, they lost, which I understand, but they lost, man. You lost, you take it under your chin, you come back next season stronger. But, publicly crying about it on a podcast just makes you look like a big bitch. Like, that's just the way to put it. You look like a bitch just crying about, the fact that you lost. Like, you lost, dude. Like, move on with it. Get ready for the next season. Come back stronger. Come back, more impactful. Make double your stats. Just keep it up. You're gonna get there. I mean, the guy's 25 years old. He's still very young. But talking smack about a team that beat you fair and square, and instead of just being like, what, they won, whatever, we're gonna come back this season and crush them. He's just like, oh, they can get the smoke. I'm better than them. blah blah blah. I'm Puka Nakua, you know. Shut up, dude. Like, shut up, bro. You are nothing, man. Until you at least make a Super Bowl appearance, maybe then I'll give you, your props. And if anything, I'll give you bonus props if you actually win the fucking thing. But going back to what I had mentioned about the New York Jets and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the reason I'm excited for that game is because the Bucs and the Jets had a training camp / practice together, which resulted in a lot of fighting, straight up like medical scares, like people like actually got hurt during preseason. And it's crazy because what I don't understand, honestly, is the fact that like neither of these teams are in the same division. Neither of them even are in the same, like, the Jets are in the AFC and the Bucs are in the NFC. And yet there was just so much, there was so much fights. There was so much, like I said, there's no reason why there's even, injury scares. There's really no reason whatsoever why there should be, fear of like someone hurting themselves. And so it was 85 degrees, which is, it's hot, but like, it's not hot enough to make up for the fact that you felt the need that you needed to have, as the Jets would call, heavy hits and multiple altercations, including Bucs tackle Luke Gandecki launched a defender's helmet off his own head. Like, and that's saying a lot considering you're a tackle, so you're an offensive lineman. So you clearly pushed that boy, or at least hard enough to where you knocked his helmet off his own shoulders. So you clearly were playing a little strong there, bud. So it's just crazy. And even due to the heat, Jets cornerback Quantez Stinger had a heat stroke, and they were concerned, about his well-being and if he was gonna be okay, which he is okay. From what I know now, is he is okay, but still, though, it's don't get me wrong, it's 85 degrees. You got to keep yourself hydrated. You got to keep yourself, not too hot. If you need to sit down, you got to sit down, man, because it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth getting, hurt or straight up getting a heat stroke over preseason, or training camp. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's not worth hurting yourself. It's not worth going through the struggle. It's just not worth it. And so I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. Some other injuries to note were Buccaneers backup quarterback Jake Browning, which Jake Browning has been around for a while. I've definitely seen that name before. Left practice early with a back issue. And then rookie wide receiver, this is not good, Emeka Ukaba limped off with a toe injury, which that is huge because Buka is hands down one of the best wide receivers the Bucs have right now. The kid was a big reason on why the Bucs beat the Seahawks, for example, in week, 5 or 6 we played the Bucs. And that game was incredible, by the way. If you haven't, honestly, that's a game I recommend. If you have not watched the 2025 season of the Buccaneers versus Seahawks game, you definitely should, because there was just, between both Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, there were just so many bombs being thrown, and both, JSN and Ibuka were going basically toe for toe, for deep, catches, crazy catches, and in general touchdowns. So, I definitely recommend watching that game if you have not watched that game, going online and seeing the highlights. It was a crazy game. But still, though, Ibuka getting a toe injury literally as the preseason is starting is not a good look for the Buccaneers, nor does it really, and like I said, it's not good for them. It's not like he's someone they definitely need around. And so for them to put themselves in that hole is like, it's just not really, it's just not doing, the Buccaneers any good by risking that. And in general, like I said, that whole training camp was a nightmare. Like, there was just so much, like I said, injuries, heat strokes, people getting hurt, all just for friendly banter, because none of it matters. And so why, the Buccaneers and Jets were like basically like trying to kill each other basically is beyond me and I think many other people. But at the same time, maybe this is maybe this is a perfect example of like, hey guys, we don't need to be literally trying to run each other over and put ourselves in the hospital all for a goddamn training camp. It's training camp, guys. Like, why are we being dumb? But anywho, moving on though from football, I want to step over into the world of basketball for a little bit and talk about the LA Lakers sell for a record $12.5 billion to ex-Disney CEO Inger and Jared Kushner and Jared Kushner's brother, Josh Kushner. And so I want to start off by simply saying, to people like, yes, former Disney CEO, but doesn't really exactly, the former Disney CEO doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. In my opinion, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's interesting. I think it's surprising, very interesting, and hopefully the Lakers don't get some weird Disney themed jersey. Like, I hope not. That would be really weird, but maybe they'll do that for marketing scheme. But in my opinion, I think the weirdest and strangest thing is, Josh Kushner's buying it because his brother Jared just barely bought out EA Games with the Saudi Arabia public funding investment team. And so there's just a lot of questions. I mean, in my opinion, I think a lot of where the brothers are suddenly getting, the money or just the idea to just buy all these teams is because for anybody that doesn't know, they are related to Ivana Trump, and so that makes Donald Trump I'm pretty sure that makes Trump their stepfather. I don't know all that information, so I could be wrong. But either way, though, I think the idea of both of them right around the same time are suddenly buying out one of America's biggest sports video game companies, and then now Josh is buying the LA Lakers with the former CEO of Disney. Now, I will say this before we go too deep. I will say that after doing some research about the Saudi Arabia, updates on what's going on with the EA, games, we found out that, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund team actually has 93% control of the stake. So they own basically 93% of EA Games. So they have pretty much all the creativity, while Silver Lake and Jared, they're holding a non-controlling minority stakes, which is basically 7% or 8%. So in hindsight, why EA Sports would be sold out to Saudi Arabia is beyond me, because I think that's weird, especially because after they buy it, they turn it into a private investment, meaning that, EA Sports has been in the public eye of the trade market since 35 years ago. So sometime in the early 90s was when it became a part of the stock market. And after 35 years, it is now no longer in the market, because they turned it into a private company, a private equity. And so there's no way for us, Americans we can't invest in EA Sports no more. It is no longer something you can invest in because it is now a private fund. It is now private. So there's no money coming from it, which also means things like they don't have to update anybody about what's going on. Like, they don't have to make updates about whether or not they're making more games. They don't have to, publicly announce their funds or how they're even, paying for anything. They can just do it. Now, as I said before, same thing still holds. The longtime CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, is still remaining in charge, and they're still, running everything. But this just, again, as I mentioned before last week, is like, what does this hold for EA Games as a whole? But then circling back, though, to the Lakers being bought out for $12.5 billion, former Disney CEO Bob Iger and capitalist Josh Kushner are buying one of the greatest trophy assets in U.S. sports, the Los Angeles Lakers. Iger and Kushner, the brother of President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are shelling out a record-breaking $12.5 billion for the basketball team. The sale comes less than a year after the NBA approved billionaire Mark Walter as the storied franchise majority owner. On a statement from Joshua Kushner, we get, as a longtime NBA fan, we are deeply honored for the opportunity to become stewards of the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most iconic sports franchises in the world. Our long-term commitment is to build on that foundation, compete at the highest level, and serve this team, its fans, in the city of Los Angeles. Now, I do like that is a good statement, but how true is that going to be a couple years from now, right? As a Lakers fan, I'm not so sure what this looks like, I mean, a lot of it is primarily just ownership, so that just looks like just like things like ticket prices, the actual stadium, whether like they have control of whether or not like the stadium needs to be rebuilt or not. They have control over like basically like the marketing of everything. They don't directly control the team, but they own the team, and now they're going to make a lot of money off the team, and hopefully they commit to their statement about how they would like to serve and honor the Los Angeles Lakers in the city of Los Angeles. It's hard to say whether or not, if they're being, honest or not. But either way, though, it is a surprise. It is surprising. It is a surprising buyout. A lot of money. I gotta say, a lot of money involved for sure. But just to own the LA Lakers, is crazy enough. But the fact that it's the ex-CEO of Disney and Jared Kushner's brother, Josh Kushner. And so just wild, just like absolutely crazy stuff happening in the world of NBA. Speaking of crazy things, a really huge NBA star just announced retirement, and that is longtime point guard, former MVP, Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has been in the league for well over 15 years at this point. Actually, technically, he played 18 seasons, so 18 years he's been around. Westbrook, was huge back in around, I want to say he was really big around 2014-15 when he played with the Thunder. He played with Kevin Durant and James Harden on the Thunder. They tried to win a championship, was not successful. However, though, Russell Westbrook is very well known. He's considered one of the greatest point guards of all time. He's an absolute beast, and it's really sad to see him go. He also holds the record for the most career triple doubles in league history, even now, which is a crazy stat to hold even now after 18 years. So congratulations to Russell Westbrook on his retirement. But it definitely is a surprising retirement. It's definitely out of nowhere. I figured he would probably play one more season, have one more final run, and then, announce his retirement. But he's not playing this year. He said he's done. He's hanging up the towel. He's calling it. And so for me, as a longtime fan, hats off, obviously, to Russell Westbrook and his career. But in general, it just marks the fact that as they would call it, the LeBron James era is starting to come to a close. James Harden, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, all these guys are starting to get really old. It's starting to come to a close. And then now it's we're opening to the future. The future being players like Luka Doncic, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, and more. And it's we're opening, to the new guys, because now all the people that were playing, during the LeBron era are now starting to hang up the towel. They're all getting to that age where it's time to, retire, call it quits. And so congratulations to Russell Westbrook for his time and his just, probably one of the best dunkers, honestly. Some of the craziest dunks you have ever seen have come from this man. The absolute force that this man brought when he stepped on the court was always fun to watch. He's always been a fun player to watch. As a Lakers fan, I really wish he was a little bit better when he played with us. There was a lot of hype when he first joined the Lakers, but he ended up being really bad, if I'm being honest. But, it's too bad, because the potential this guy could have had with, LeBron, AD, and on the Lakers in general. But thank you, Russell Westbrook, for your time. Moving on from Russell Westbrook, though, LeBron James just dropped his first new shoe since joining the 76ers, the LeBron 24s. And I want to see if maybe I can put this up here in a second so we can take a look at this. Let's take a look together. Let's take a look at this. But yeah, it comes in this nice, I'm liking the way it looks. You can see right here real quick. This blue color. Really enjoying the look of it. And so it's the King James revealing his 24s, and like I said, it's in this light blue color. It kind of looks like over here. Kind of looks like the blue on my shoe, actually on my logo. The blue is actually very close to the blue I have for my logo, so that's really funny. But there's a lot of rumors that, or fans can expect a very patriotic theme, because there's a lot of, there's definitely more colors. That's the way the shoe looks. The shoe kind of has this traditional LeBron look where it's got the little kind of comes up like a little crease and then goes forward. But they're being dropped in this blue color, but fans can expect more colors along the future. And someone said that they think that it'll be very white, red, and blue, to really go with the 76ers colors in general, but also give off that look that LeBron is trying to get with this team. And so I think it's pretty cool to just briefly look at. It's nothing crazy, but it's pretty cool. LeBron James dropping a new shoe, and fans in Philly can expect, that they will probably be gone very, very soon. They'll probably get, eaten up by the fans of Philadelphia and in general, LeBron fans in general. Honestly, I would love to see like looking at the shoe, I would love to see this shoe in like a darker blue and then maybe some red as well. And in general, it would be cool to see like a multicolor scheme with this one, because what I'm seeing in this shoe currently is I'm seeing like the obvious blue, but then there's a hint of white. So like, what if it was like a darker navy blue with hints of red, a little bit of red? Like that'd be pretty sick. I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe you guys can agree, disagree. Anybody in the chat, anybody here that wants to say anything, if you want to, you can. If not, that's okay. But if anybody has any opinions on the new LeBron shoes, definitely let me know what you think. I think they look kind of cool, and I think they should definitely bring out some extra colors. I do like this blue, but I would love to see, honestly, like I had mentioned, I'd love to see it in like a navy with hints of red. Like that would be really cool. I think that would look really nice in terms of a athletic shoe. And so now we're going to wrap things up with basketball. Now we're going to move over to the Major League Baseball and what's going on in the baseball world. We're getting close. We're getting down. I think we're down to 10 more games. I think most teams have 10 more games at max. We're getting very close to the playoffs for the MLB. Some of the teams that are obviously going to, make it looks like, are, over in the American League East, the Rays and the Yankees are probably going to be there. Red Sox are following up behind. This actually might be the first time, though, that we don't see the Blue Jays. I don't think the Blue Jays are going to make it. The Blue Jays are not doing too well this year. They're 59-63. They're fourth in their division. So I don't know. They might, if they can finish strong without losing many more games, they could probably sneak their way in. But right now, it's not looking good for Rays fans, or Blue Jays fans. White Sox, which actually the White Sox, I will say, have been surprising this year. But 62 games carrying the League Central, American League Central. Over in the West, we got the Astros carrying with the Texas Rangers right behind them. Both of those two teams are close. Seattle Mariners could also sneak their way in if they can, if they keep winning, but they can't keep losing, kind of thing. They need to, start winning more. I will say, though, the National League is looking a lot stronger than the American League, though. The Braves are 73-48, so they're, without a question in my mind, they'll be definitely making a playoff spot. The Atlanta Braves. Haven't seen those guys, honestly, in the playoffs in a minute either. The Brewers, though, being very consistent, 74-47, with the Chicago Cubs right behind them, 71-50. So Cubs will probably be there too. Honestly, the Cardinals too. The Cardinals are a little behind, but they're still positive. They're, if anything, they've won their last 7 out of the last 10 games. So the Cardinals are looking to sneak their way into the playoffs as well. With the LA Dodgers, no surprise, carrying the West, with the Padres following up with 65 wins. So Padres are behind the Dodgers with 8 wins behind the Dodgers. Diamondbacks also are 64-58, so Arizona Diamondbacks might sneak their way in as well. So a lot of really strong teams this year. But like I said, though, it's like it's safe to say that like the American League East, has a lot of competition with the Tampa Bay Rays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox. But then the National League's got, like I said, the Braves, the Brewers, and the Dodgers alone. Like this playoff is going to be very interesting. Like there's just a lot going on, a lot of winnings. The Red Sox had a historical 18 or 19 win streak that they had for a little bit there, sort of slowing down. But again, Red Sox, without a doubt in my mind, will probably make the playoffs. But anyway, though, we have some games though today and tomorrow. Today at 1 o'clock or 1:10 technically, we got the Pirates and the Marlins, followed up by the Guardians and Tigers. Then at 1:30, we have the Mariners and the Yankees. We have at 2 o'clock, we have the Reds and the White Sox. At 3, we've got the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. At 4 o'clock, we have the Cubs and the Nationals. At 7:30 tonight, we have the Phillies and the Twins. Followed up at 10 o'clock, we got two 10 o'clock games. We got the Texas Rangers against the Angels, and then the Brewers against the Dodgers. That will be a really good game, honestly. But also same thing with the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. And then, in my opinion, also the Yankees and the Mariners. Those three games look really good. All of them look good, but those three, in my opinion, really stand out in terms of, like, if you're going to watch any tonight, those are probably the three you should watch. Tomorrow night, though, we have the Cardinals again and the Cubs, the Marlins and Reds, followed up with the White Sox and Tigers, Red Sox and Pirates, Padres and Guardians, Orioles and Rays, National and the New York Mets, Yankees and Blue Jays, Diamondback and Braves, Mariners and Astros, Royals and Angels, Rangers and Athletics, Brewers and Dodgers, and then the rookies and the Giants. I want to actually, where are the Mets and the other? Oh yeah, the Mets are over here. Okay. Honestly, I didn't expect the Mets to be so low this year. They're literally in the bottom of the East. They're 59 and 69, but they've won their last 6 out of the last 10 games. So they're, at least, finishing strong or trying to finish strong. Also, Colorado, no surprise, still struggling, 48 and 73. Not too hot. They definitely are a lot better at home based on their stats at home, but their away games are really questionable. They've only won 21 away games while losing 42 away games. So not looking good, away from home, but they're obviously consistent at home, which is good, but you need to be consistent at home and be relatively consistent on the road to be, winning or being up in the leagues. But either way, though, the baseball season is getting ready to come to a close soon. We're getting ready to enter the playoffs for baseball. The regular season of the football season starts in a month. I'm excited because the opener is a Super Bowl rematch between the Patriots and the Seahawks. I'm stoked. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm really hoping, obviously, for Seattle to, win and, beat the Patriots again. That would be really funny. But at the same time, the Patriots, if they can, start off with a 1-0 start for them, that would be really good. But like I said before, though, about the Patriots, is like, I still don't understand, even if it's a money thing, it's like I still don't understand why they let Stephon Diggs walk. Because honestly, I thought I really, for the Patriots fans, I was really hoping for the duo of A.J. Brown and Stephon Diggs. But honestly, though, Stephon Diggs going to the Commanders really gives the Commanders a boost, because they have Terry McLaurin or Scary Terry. And so they have the talent already, but adding Stephon Diggs to the Commanders just gives the Commanders enough weapons to, consider themselves to compete against, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. Because without a doubt, I would have said about, a month ago that the Commanders were going to be, dead last out of all 4 teams But now that they've got Stephon Diggs, it's like, I don't know, man. It might be, honestly, at this point now, I think either the Giants or the Eagles actually might be dead last. I think the Eagles getting rid of A.J. Brown was a huge mistake for them, because he was, like, without a doubt, their best receiver. They still have Javonte Smith, but I don't know. I think them getting rid of A.J. Brown definitely puts a hole on their offense for sure. Defense is still there for the Eagles, but it really stumps them in terms of that. And with that being said, I think we're going to call it here. We're going to call it an episode. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in with me today. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your evening. Enjoy the beautiful weather while we still have it. We're approaching the middle of August. We probably have about another month left of warm sun before it starts getting a lot colder. Temperatures dropping through the night is going to start happening soon. So be prepared for that. Cooler nights for sure going forward. Last night wasn't bad. It was around like 60 degrees last night, so it wasn't bad. But before you know it, we're going to be dropping down to the 40s. And then before we know it, we're going to be in the negatives, which I'm not excited for. I'm not excited for winter. I'm not a fan. But thank you guys for being here with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Athletics Podcast. I am your host, Logan Luce. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy it. Get outside. And I will be here next week for a new episode, so be ready to tune in. Thank you guys one last time, and have a great rest of your evening. And this has been the